Dr. Daza,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dr. Daza?
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Dr. James.
You know, it's funny. Some people, what they do is they put Dr. Oscar Daza, comma, PhD. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's not correct. It's either Oscar Daza, comma, PhD, or Dr. Oscar Daza, not both.
Not both. Yes.
But yet some
Yes.
people do that, and I think it's a symptom of our society being too focused on titles and prestige. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to exaggerate the thing either, but this is something that I experienced back in Colombia, you know,
Hmm?
and it's I agree with you. Sometimes people want to have the prestige beforehand against any rule or any condition or any actual degree that you may have. Um, in Colombia, for instance, the word doctor is like a kind of general use.
Okay,
Usually when I was growing there, you use doctor for medical
sure.
medical professionals,
That's
right?
right.
Eh, yeah, and in some cases you use doctor for people in the judiciary system, like lawyers and all that stuff.
Okay. I don't, yeah, that's not in the States. It's usually a medical doctor, it could be a dentist,
Yes.
or maybe even a veterinarian.
Yeah, yeah. But in Colombia there is a kind of situation where everyone is a doctor.
Ah,
Um, even an accountant.
wow.
Yeah, I am laughing because I had that direct experience with someone. So you are an engineer with just a BS, doctor. It's called doctor. You are an electrical engineer. You are doctor. You know, and so on and so on. And I have been against that kind of situation because um, you need to recognize what other people have, and also not offending other people as well. Um, I am part of an association that is supposedly to be um, a kind of society of technologists in general. No matter what your profession is, you are supposed to be part of that society. But the society is failing to educate people, you know,
Yeah,
because it's a society of technologists, and in that level there are people with different degrees, bachelor of science, master of science degree, or PhD programs, or even higher in some cases because you are like a postdoc doing something else, or whatever the case is. And in my direct experience, for instance, in some cases, I am not called doctor against other people, but I am called engineer, you know?
mm, yeah. Well, I
We,
guess
after
it,
all, I don't mind. After all, I don't mind it, but what I want to communicate is the contrast of what we are discussing here, right? The contrast in terms of what other people are in different professions and so on, but not establishing the real differences among them, you know? So in general, I have been in situation where I am called engineer. I don't care. that's what I am actually after all. But on the other hand, other people that don't have even a master's of science degree or something are just called doctors. And that's because of the society issue, because they project a kind of prestige or something that is recognized among other people. So if you don't call them doctor, it's like offensive for them,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
not good.
Yeah, it's not good. Yes, I agree with you. But yeah, in some cases, is the degree of interpretation or recognition that that many people have, and I am talking about a kind of very well established society of technologists, you know.
Sure.
And in principle, this society should be educating people and at the same time promoting those differences and the importance of having those people differentiated in one degree or another, you know.
Yep. So
Yeah.
how's the class going for you?
The class is going good. I was behind this week too, and last night I was able to finish my network. My
Great.
yeah, I was able to do it, and I have it ready to have it submitted. Except that I am still working on the agile approach.
Okay.
So I just wanted to communicate that because
Yeah.
I wasn't able to finish on time last night, and I'm still working on this one too. So, and I have another class as well. So I'm taking two classes at the same time.
Yeah. Well, the deadlines for my course are soft deadlines because I know that most people are working professionals and they have other demands on their time with their family. And
Yes.
so I'm not a real stickler. If it comes in a couple days late, I always give full credit. So,
Okay.
yeah, I get that. So, I'm recording our meetings now because one of the classmates said that she couldn't come, but she wanted to watch the recording. So I thought we it's good to try to stick to the topic as much as possible, um, so that she's not getting any kind of information that is not really of value to her or anything like that. So, yep.
Yeah, I have to mention. Thank you for the comments that you are saying that you are flexible, because I wanted to follow the schedule for this homework in full detail, and going through even to all my sources. And I use, probably you know it, I use this publication.
Okay. I've not seen that one.
Yeah, yeah, I had it hidden somewhere in my library, and I recall that I had bought this some years ago or so, and I couldn't find it on time, and finally I found it, and it's very simple. It has plenty of examples and so on. So I essentially like review it and then did my homework. Um, um, uh, the PMBOK, it doesn't say too much detail
No.
about how to calculate this or how to make decisions in terms of the network and so on. And other publication that I had didn't have it either, but this small publication had it all. So yeah, so I succeeded with the homework. I defined the critical path. I wanted to do it following all the steps. I didn't want to use any software because using the software is easy from the perspective that you put the activities or the task in with the precedents, successors, and so on, everything. So everything becomes like nice. But I wanted to do it very carefully, following all these steps. And
That's good. I
yeah,
think I
yeah.
think doing things manually like that is really good. You know, sometimes people are overly reliant on software, and then when the software malfunctions, they blame the software. But if they were responsible for buying and implementing the software, it's really their responsibility to make sure that the software is working effectively. Otherwise, don't buy it. You know, when I was in industry, I was in charge of customer demand forecasting. And when one of the sales people came in to give a presentation of the software, I asked if it could do these certain types of algorithms, and the person said yes. So I gave them our data set to run, and as it turned out, it couldn't do it. So the person didn't even know what was going on behind the scenes. So we didn't buy that software. But again, I think that's probably unusual for somebody to do that because they don't want to take the time to perform due diligence on something like that because they're
Yes.
either lazy or they're too trusting. I'm not very trusting. I know that a lot of people, they make mistakes or they cut corners. And so I want to make sure that things work effectively. That's just how I live my life in general.
Yeah, yeah, and in my case, I have used critical path method software in general, but not putting too much attention to all the details. I remember that many years ago I attended a class on critical path method as well, but it was more applied than actually understanding all the principles at the time was applied to construction. I have some books on operations research. Some operations research, this critical path method is used. My publication is from operations research, a couple of books that I have, and they use critical path method, but activities on the arrows, not activities on the
Right.
nodes.
That's how it was in the beginning. So back in
Yes,
the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the only people doing that were engineers and operations research people. What happened when the quality movement became in existence with people doing flow charting, they moved from the
yes,
activity on arrow to activity on node. And
yeah,
that's pretty much what's taught today because
yes,
you and we are fading from the scene, and eventually the activity on arrow that's going to not even be taught anywhere. But if you pick up a book, but like because I have some operations research and management science books also, that's all you find in those books.
yes,
It's
yes,
interesting.
yes, I wanted to get updated myself because as I mentioned, those books on operations research talk about all the time about operations on the arrows. So, the approach that are used is also a kind of uh, operations research more directly applied to linear programming in operations research, and where this field of project management has been used in the past. So I wanted to do the transition between operations on the arrows versus operations now on the nodes. So it was good. Yeah, this is a very simple publication, very straightforward. You can read it in a couple of hours if you want, depending on it, yeah, and get updated yourself. The examples are very simple, but also very easy to follow and to understand. And at some point, it's like, oh, okay. I was stuck a little bit on the the backward process. I was a little bit stuck on that. So that's the reason I took my time and
Yeah.
trying to understand much better that part. I have been always using implicitly using like the forward process. you know,
right?
but not using the backward process. So
Well,
yeah, I feel satisfied now.
the backward pass is so essential because that's going to enable you to calculate your float or your slack time. And I was going to tell you that, there's two things that I think are so important when you're doing scheduling. One is the network diagram and the critical path. And the second thing is the earned value performance management. And so think about this, Oscar. If you have a project that has, let's say 500 tasks, you're going to have probably over 100 paths, and but only one of those paths is going to be critical. That's going to be the longest path. The rest of the paths are going to have slack. And so what you need to do is just manage the critical path, and then all the other slack time for the activities, if you don't exceed the slack, then you don't worry because it's not going to cause you a problem. So what you do is you focus your time on the critical path and try to shorten it, or at least make sure that you don't go over. And then what you do is you set up an exception report that compares the actual time for the task with slack versus their expected time. And as long as you don't have a unfavorable variance, you don't worry about those because they're not critical. So you're able to focus on what Joseph Duran, he called the vital few and not the trivial many. And that really helps you manage your time. And then on the earned value performance management, what you do is just make sure that you are calculating the right elements of your schedule, and make sure that your ratios are above 1 and your variances are positive. And if you do those two things, you're going to be on top of your schedule. And I'm sure that if we were to go to NASA or some really high-powered project management organization, we would find that they're using those methods, but it's all automated because their systems are so sophisticated, and I'm sure they're probably developed internally. I've never had a chance to go there, but so that's how I teach my students. To teach, exception based is good because then you can focus your time on the important things.
Yeah, and I want to share with you a kind of experience. Back in December, my son works for SpaceX in McGregor, Texas.
Okay.
And
is that
in
Elon
December,
Musk company? Is that Elon Musk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Elon Musk. Yes. So, but in December, I had the opportunity of going even further south because SpaceX also. No caller. SpaceX has also another division or another area for projects, which is very, very south of Texas, close to Mexico. And that's where they have the launching pad.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. So a workmate of my son moved from McGregor to this other location south in Texas. And he has been performing like a kind of project scheduler. So back in December, I got interested because of most of the time I have heard about Microsoft project and something like Primavera, but so I was interested in knowing what software you are using,
Sure.
because for me was a kind of curiosity because they are doing continuously projects, especially those related to launching, where they have to have too many people ready in different areas, and everything is like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, etc., until the launching happens. And when you are like doing some launching, there is another launching coming in another week or in another month or something like that. So everything is like, many activities are like moving concurrently at the same time. So I asked him, what software are you using? Because in my imagination, I was like, they should be using something sophisticated, you know? And to my surprise, he said, we don't use Microsoft Project. So what do you use then? Excel. That's what he told me.
Ah,
And they have been like doing their own stuff internally and mechanizing some things by experience, you know,
yeah.
because they know the people, they talk to the different people in charge of the different things and so on. So what he concluded was Microsoft is a kind of complicated tool to manage, you
Project you're
know.
talking about?
Microsoft Project,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So I was
So I
just kind of
imagine
surprised.
when they're using Excel, they probably have gone in and they've done a lot of sophisticated algorithms to help them. They develop it themselves. And you know, did he tell you that?
Yeah.
So that they pretty much have taken Excel to the farthest extent of its capabilities.
Yeah, but I have been studying Excel as well, because um, as an engineer, I have been using, probably you are very familiar with this, Fortran 4, Fortran 95, um, Microsoft Fortran, everything like that, you know. But there have been many new languages like C, C++, Pascal, C Sharp, Delphi, and also Python today. So I have been somewhat mostly on the side of C Sharp and also on the side of Python. But as you mentioned, Excel has many good capabilities. That's what is called Visual Basic for applications. So that's essentially like a programming language by itself.
Yeah.
And I have seen people doing just exceptional things with these Visual Basic for applications. Um, I saw a person doing a canal problem, in this case, open channel flow in hydraulics. Um, and one of the things that amazed me was the kind of situation that this person used, because he wasn't aware of C Sharp or even C++ at the time. Was like 3-4 years ago or so. But he was thinking only in terms of Visual Basic for applications and Excel. And he was doing just formidable things, you know. So I believe that these people using Excel, they say Excel, but Excel is what you see in front of you. But behind the scenes, what you are using is Visual Basic for application to automate all the things that you want to have, you know?
Yeah, and you know, there's a saying that I love. It's called "You own what you create." You own what you create. So when you develop something in Excel from scratch, like your son is doing, he knows exactly how things work and he trusts it. And he has high ownership. Like right now, when I'm doing, Oscar, you'll love this. I have a personal finance plan that I developed probably 40 years ago in Lotus 123. And of course, now I've migrated to Excel, but it goes out until age 95 for me. And it's a combination uh, income statement and balance sheet. So it has all my finances. It has my investments. It shows my required minimum distributions from my IRA and my 401k. It has everything. And I trust it because I know it works. And I have all these formulas, they have different tabs. So if somebody gave me a program that said, here, fill in these 10 blanks, and then it'll tell you how much money you need to live for the rest of your life, I don't trust it because I don't know how it's calculating, but I trust mine. And I've used it for many, many purposes. So what your son is doing, it sounds like he's doing the right thing for sure.
Yes, yes, but it's not my son. It's a workmate of him.
Ah,
He's from Minnesota. Went to Texas, and then from McGregor he moved to this other location in Texas. So he is more involved because my son is mostly involved with testing the motors
okay,
in McGregor. But this person was working with him in doing all the planning, all the project management in terms of testing motors and all that stuff. But he decided to move to where the real action is, which is related to launching all the rockets and all that stuff. So that's
sure.
what he's doing. So I have to give him a call again to gain more experience because we didn't chat for so long. So we were like probably chatting for half hour or so. So and we were in a kind of a dinner, so we didn't have the opportunity to go in more depth. But that I have that kind of curiosity to talk to him in more detail. So eventually I had to give him a call and gain some more knowledge from him. But
So
that's what
does
he's
he,
doing.
yeah, does he have a chance to interact with Elon Musk at all?
No, no. As far as I understand, for instance, in the case of my son, he hasn't interacted with Elon Musk, even when they are testing models every day. You know, I have been there in this site a couple of times. It's amazing what they are doing. I don't know if Elon Musk goes there and with what frequency. Frequency, I don't know. I believe that he goes. I believe that Elon Musk lives or used to live in Texas, in this area that I mentioned. Um, and when we were like driving around, and there were several houses where mostly executive people live in that area. So, and my son mentioned that Elon Musk lives there. So I believe that he is probably more in direct touch with the launching, that's where the real action is happening, and eventually what is giving him money, because that's the real issue with SpaceX. You
Yeah.
know.
So I want to ask you a question. So what is your view on artificial intelligence? Do you think that it's going to be something beneficial for the world, or do you think it's something that people should be cautious about?
Would- I would say that it's it's scary if they don't use it if they don't use it well, but certainly it's going to have a lot of contribution to real society, negative and and positive. You know, I am reading a book here that I can share it with you. This is Chat GPT, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
engineers, and this is a kind of introduction, has some programming here and so on. It's very interesting. But what I have seen is that Google, internet services, and so on are moving forward. Even the software like Word, like Excel, and so on, are already using AI tools already. They are using AI tools already. I have heard negative things and I have heard positive things. I believe that the United States government is pointing to regulate the use of AI, which I think is going to be pretty much needed, because in this society we have good and bad people, and so bad people eventually are trying to be using AI for other purposes, stealing information or providing wrong recommendations. But yeah, it's a big wave that is going on right now. Almost everything is considering the use of AI at some point.
You know,
Yeah.
I've dabbled with Chat GTP a little bit, and what I've noticed is that a couple things. The information that, and maybe you know better than me since you have that book, the information that's returned is very sketchy. You don't have a lot of information. It could be maybe 1,000 words at most. And that seems like that's the basic format. And what they'll do is they'll give you an introduction, and then they'll give you some bullet points, then they give you a conclusion. Have you noticed the same thing?
Yes. And and I can attribute that could be because AI is not as easy as it sounds. So to grasp the full knowledge is going to be more difficult for many people. I think that's what's going on. Um, um, I have seen some books that are appear on Amazon, and you might be interested, especially in those books related to financing, to investments, and all that stuff. Um, I have been with the curiosity of eventually getting some more knowledge, because I like that part, which is like having more access to make common sense of many things, like finances, your personal finances. When I go to engineering, um, yeah, it's kind of scary, because you don't have a real touch with what's going on inside, you know. Um,
Yeah,
um,
and the other thing about it is they don't give you the source documents or the references for the information. You follow what I'm saying? You don't know where they got that information from. So in a way, it's kind of like Wikipedia, where Wikipedia is not a controlled situation where anybody can go into Wikipedia and make entries, make
yeah,
changes. And to me, in a way, the Chat GTP kind of looks like Google on steroids. It looks like it's grabbing information from a variety of sources and integrating them in a meaningful way. But again, how do you know what it's coming up with is legitimate or not? You don't know that because it's not, the references are not documented.
and that's the scary part. And at some point we will have to rely on AI, but I think Congress has to document or create ways, in a way that AI can become reliable for people, because um, you have heard many negative things, like creating voices of a person uh, and delivering a speech that is not the actual person, but with the copy
Right,
of the voice. you
right.
know so those are like things that are scary. So because news is just to cite an example, news is a kind of sensitive, where society is responding right away. If you listen to good news or bad news, you are actually uh responding to those immediately. So I think needs to be regulated. Same thing is going to be in other areas that eventually we are going to be benefiting from, which is medicine. You know, medicine is one of those areas because, for instance, you have a kind of illness or something that you need to know more based on your own conditions, not in the general um, thinking of on something. You know, for instance, you read something about in my case, for instance, about tachycardias. So when you read about tachycardias, there is nothing explicit saying what is the cause of this or the cause of that, what is how it is related to your diet or whatever the case is. So I believe that at some point, and if you read one source versus the other, yeah, they have a kind of overlap, but on the other hand, they have new things on each side. And at some point, you don't know what to believe, you know, because
Yeah.
there is too much information on the same topic with different approaches, different experiences. And I believe that these are like clinical studies are coming from different experiences in different locations and so on. So artificial intelligence, I believe that is going to help in that direction where you can say, this is what I want to know. And eventually it's not going to solve the problem, but at least it's going to make your time more efficient in terms of what you really want to know on a given issue.
Yeah, so one of the applications that I see that can be very beneficial. So when you're writing a scholarly paper on a particular topic, you can use artificial intelligence to get a baseline to tell you the the fundamentals and the basic things. Then that may stimulate some thinking on your part to go do your own research. So it's almost like it's an aid in that way. Another thing, have you ever heard of something called expert systems?
Yes.
Do you know much about it?
No, not too much.
So
But
so
but
when I went to work for my second company back in 1988, I attended a brown bag lunch session where one of the engineers came in and he presented it. So it's an interviewing technique where you essentially are replicating the thought processes of an expert in the software. So it's a series of decision rules and trees. So what happened is we had a guy who was making a particular formulation, and it was not documented because the recipe was situational depending on the interactivity of the different chemicals that were being put in there. So if you've mixed chemical A and B and they're organic materials, biologicals, you're going to get a different result because A is never the same and neither is B. So then that chemist will then need to put a little bit more of C, or he may want to stir A and B together, or may want to put it in a cold place or whatever. But see, those things cannot be proceduralized because they are situational. But what you can do is you can all the decision rules the expert would go through, you could put that in the software, and then you interrogate, you query that software to tell you what to do when you come up with this kind of condition. You follow me? And that was very stimulating. But this is like, again, 1988, and nobody's using that in industry because the problem is the American culture is not real collaborative, and everybody wants to reinvent the wheel. They want to claim something as their own. I'll give you an example. really isn't American, but it had to do with a guy in Puerto Rico because I used to go there a lot on business. So this guy became the supply chain manager, and he'd been in the job for about 3 months. And so in his office was a file cabinet, a 4-drawer file cabinet from his predecessor. And I asked him, I said, "What's in those file cabinets?" And he says, "I don't know. I've never looked at them." If I were coming in a new job, I would want to read those files to find out what the situation was previously, so I would know that background. But he didn't care because he just wanted to go and create his own reality. And that's the American. It's unfortunate because there's so many missed opportunities because people don't benchmark. They don't look for best practices. They don't look for lessons learned. And I tell somebody, if you want to open an ice cream uh, store, ice cream, parlor, restaurant in Georgia, well, go to New York and find one that's great, or go to the state of Washington and just copy it, because you're not in competition with those people. They just have one store, and learn from them. But people don't think like that because, again, we've been taught in this country to be independent and to blaze our own trail, but it's really inefficient, and it's a waste in terms of business, because business is about doing more with less, right? I'm going to let Kim in. She's coming to join us. Remember Kim?
Yes.
She was in our first call. Remember that?
Yeah.
Hello, Kim.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
No.
Hi. Oh, I'm hanging in there. I'm still working on last week's homework with the
Oh,
trying to calculate the critical path.
you
I got a
guys
little
probably hate me
confused.
now, don't you?
Not really, not because of these sessions.
Oh,
These
other
sessions.
reasons to hate me? Well, Oscar's in the same boat as you are, so you're in good company.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me get on camera.
And I
Hey.
told him, don't sweat it if you're a day or 2 or 3 late, because I'm not a real stickler for hard deadlines. I know that everybody's got stuff going on in their life. So, yeah. But did you have any questions about what you're working on?
Yeah, well, I'm just on the just trying to kind of calculate the forward. I guess I'm like just trying to calculate the lag time and the lead. So the durations. And I was just kind of, and I think I was I might be overthinking it where I'm confusing myself a little bit with it, because I'm like, okay, wait, how am I coming up with this number? So I'm coming up with the calculations, but I'm like, okay, wait, why is this 0 right here? Or why is this 8 right here?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the overall structure of the way it's structured out. I'm like, okay, wait, because I did the simplified version of it without the leads at first. And then I was like, oh, wait, are we supposed to go back and do the leads and duration? So,
We have Victoria joining us. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Tony. How are you doing today?
We're doing fantastic. It's nice to have you here with us. Because in the past it's just been Oscar and myself, and we have a tendency to go out onto some tangents. So it's good to have other people so help us stay in line. How you doing? Did you have a specific question, or you just came to see what's going on?
I wanna talk about the course and how it's been going.
Okay. Well,
So I started an internship at the same time that this class started, and it's been
Huh?
like quite an adjustment. And so I fell behind on the coursework because I was kind of focusing on my internship, but now I'm like, okay, we're a couple of weeks in and I definitely want to get back on track. And so I just wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, well, that's great. You can get started, and I'm completely flexible about that kind of stuff. Even if you need more time once the course is ended, I could give you an extension on that. So, the most important thing is for you to leave the class with good knowledge on scheduling and cost management. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's great. I'm glad that you're checking in.
I saw on the syllabus that there's a presentation. I'm wondering if that's a group presentation or are they individual? Do we present? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so you could do it by yourself or you could do it with a partner. So really, what I need you to do is to use PowerPoint or something comparable to to essentially talk about something from the first half of the class. So that'll be scheduling, and you would then talk a little bit about the concepts and the theory, assuming that somebody that's watching it knows nothing about the topic. And then after that, you would then segue into an application where you show how that can be used either in a situation that you are directly involved with or something that you know about. And I want the presentation to be balanced, where 50% of it is the concepts and the theory, then 50% are the applications. And it can be a voiceover, or it could just be PowerPoint with maybe some comments on the bottom, or it could be a video. I'm completely flexible on the
But it's
format,
not
but
a
I
live presentation, so it's either the pro
no,
or we record ourselves. Gotcha. Okay.
exactly. Yep, yep. The most important thing is to make sure it's balanced with those two parts that I talked about, because a lot of times people will tend to be too much conceptual, and like the last slide is on an application that's real sketchy,
Mhm.
or it's too much application and hardly anything on the concept. So yeah, so that's pretty much how that goes.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. What else would you like to know, Victoria?
I think that was just it, sort of figuring out how to
Okay.
get back on track. And you're saying it's a little bit flexible, and then the
Yeah.
presentation. Do you, if we want to do it with a partner, do you assign partners or do we?
No, you just pick someone that you maybe had a class with before.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds good. Thank you so much.
good. Anything else you need help with?
No, that's it for now.
Okay, cool. All
Thanks.
right, well, Kim had a question about week four's assignment, so I want to answer her question. Kim, you were mentioning about lead and lag, something like that.
Yes,
There's no
and
lead and lags in this assignment.
no lead and lag, no.
So
Okay, so
I
it's
just
no,
I brought up the assignment, and all you need to do is just make sure that you sequence all the tasks with the right predecessors and the right durations. And then that should enable you to do your forward pass. And then you do your backward pass, and then you're going to calculate your float time. Maybe that's what you're referring to.
yes, I'm referring to the float time.
Yeah, so that you'll get that on the backward pass. And if you go into the slides from this week, you should be able to see some examples that talk exactly like that, how you need to do it.
Okay, okay, yes, I'm gonna re-go back. I'm still going over the slides from like this week anyway, so I'll re-go back over the
Okay,
slides with the
and
back.
you
Yeah,
don't need to use, you can use Excel for this because the calculations are pretty basic. I mean, there's only 11 tasks, and I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 paths. So if it's easier for you to do it, you can even do it manually with just a piece of paper and just draw some boxes and arrows. You could do that. Whatever's
that's
easier
how
for
I normally
you.
start off doing it. That's how I
Yeah,
normally start
yeah,
off doing it with the paper, because I'm like, okay, wait, this is A, this is B, this is C,
yeah. I
this
do
is
the same
D. And I
thing.
go,
So that's perfectly
yeah,
fine.
yeah, I have to kind of do it that way because it's like I'm visual, so I'm like, okay, A, B, and then
Yep, I'm the same. I'm the
it,
same way.
it's just yeah, it was just the math, like the lead start, lead stop, or lead finish. I was just like, okay, what's the math on that again? Okay. Okay.
And,
Well, then
and
I'll
you know,
just
what I
continue
do with that too is, sometimes I make a cheat sheet or I make some flashcards because it can get confusing. Um, but I think if you use the example that's in the slides, it should make it really, really clear. And the good news, I would say 90% of students in the past have been able to do this. So once you get rolling, you should be able to get engaged with it and do a good job. So I'm not concerned about it. But if you do need more help, just let me know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, mine will be, I'll have mine in either by the night or tomorrow morning.
Okay, or if you need more time, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I'm just working with it, just like trying to conceptualize it. And I'm like going through the lecture notes and my lecture notes and everything too, so I can kind of grasp the whole totality of it. So,
It is a little bit challenging the first couple times you do it. But you know, I'll tell you, it is a wonderful scheduling method. And there's a book by a guy named James Lewis, and I think it's called Fundamentals of Project Management, and it's a real skinny book. It's an old book. They've done later editions, but you could get it from Amazon, and there is a dynamite section on network scheduling and the critical path method. That's how I learned when I first got started. So I think if you were to get a copy of that book, you can probably buy it for like $4 or $5. Just to have it, I think would be really, really good. If you
Yeah.
want to if you want to wait a minute, I can get it and I can show you what it looks like. You want to wait?
yeah, sure.
Okay, let me go grab it. It's in the library in my other room, so I got to get a copy. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's always nice when you can find something that you're looking for. So this is the first edition, and it's from the American Management Association, but it's the same title. And it's James P. Lewis.
Okay.
But I want to show you. So this project is about cleaning up a yard. So what he's done first, can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
He's got a work breakdown structure so he can identify the different tasks. And I've already done that for you. Then he's got this diagram right here for the forward pass. And then later on, yeah, he's got it even amplified more in the next chapter like that. And then he's got the backward pass here. You can see I've written in this
Oh,
book. So he's got everything that, and it's so easy to understand. So if you want to get it, you could probably get, yeah, this book is from 1997, so it's not that old.
well, as long as stuff doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, anything else you
Wow.
need help with?
No, you know what? Oh man, I had one more question, and it was about the homework. I wasn't able to make it to the last one. It was about the homework, well, the week before. Do I have it? And I just had because I was reviewing the example you gave me for the homework number 2 for week number 2 when we were building the baseball stadium construction.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, and I was looking at that because it was one of these structures. Man, which one was it? I had a question on. I have to come ready next time with my questions already each week. But yeah,
it-
it was, but you put it in there, so I'm just basically studying. I think it was it wasn't the work breakdown structure, but it was the structure. Why am I blank right now? I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm going blank. But memory is not that great.
was it from week 3 or
But,
week 2?
It was from week 2.
Okay.
It was one of the structures that we were using. It
Okay,
wasn't the word breakdown structure.
I'll take a look at your assignment here. That was for the 25th college reunion?
It wasn't the college reunion. This one was for the construction of the baseball stadium.
Okay, that was week 3.
Okay, that was week 3.
Yeah,
Construction of the
okay.
baseball stadium. Yeah, it was one of the techniques I believe that we used. Was it tools and
Okay.
techniques? And bottom up estimating. That's what it was.
Okay,
Bottom up.
yep.
I don't. Okay, yeah. I just liked your example of the bottom up estimating, but I wasn't able to write. For some reason, like my computer hasn't been able. Like I don't know. I have been having a hard time posting. Like I'm trying to repost on there, but I think it's something with the update of my computer. But yeah, it was the bottom up estimating that I was looking at of just how to do it.
Well, so
That's fine.
first of all, you need to have some people working on your project that are ready, willing, and able to do it. And the good news is in a healthy organization, the people that do the work are usually the most knowledgeable because they're hands-on, they're working on things day to day, where managers or supervisors are more removed and maybe less knowledgeable. So what you need to do is you need to ask them to come up with estimates. And if you get a good enough response that's objective, then you can basically roll that up and then use that as your estimate because they're closer to the action. But a lot of times you
Oh.
can do a top down and a bottom up, where if it's a top down, you could then share that with the people and say, how does this look? Why don't you review it and make some modifications and then tell us what needs to be changed? And so that goes back up to the top and then there's more change. So it's kind of a back and forth process. So that's really what it's
Oh,
all
okay.
about.
So you can
Does that help?
combine kind of like, yes, so
Yes.
you can combine those two methods and kind of like use the bottom up and the top down to get
Yes.
a balance.
And
Okay.
and what should happen is if there's good communication going back and forth, eventually you should come up with a consensus where management and the workers, they're in agreement because they've been able to talk enough and they all are on the same page. But again, that takes time, and it also takes management to admit they don't know everything, which is hard to do because they're a lot of times really stuck in themselves. And then the workers need to be willing to share what they know, and there could be some negativity there if they may get criticized by their boss for maybe speaking out of turn. So that's why I said it needs to be a healthy organization where there's respect for each other in all areas.
Organization. I'm taking these notes down. Healthy organization is key. Okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, we're out
those
of
were my-
time.
Well,
So
yeah,
yeah,
thank
if you need any help, but get that book if you can get it. It'd definitely be worth your
I am-
while because it's a real thin book Look how skinny it is, but it's real basic. And, but it's not lightweight. He does cover, earned value and also, the network scheduling, which are the two most important things, I think. All right, well, I'm
Okay.
glad that you
Okay,
checked
well-
in with us, Kim. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Thank you for all your help.
Sure, I'm glad to help. Okay, talk with you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.